She leaned in, looked him dead in the eyes, and whispered, "You don't even flinch, do you?" He smiled, just barely, and said nothing. In that silence, something shifted. Most men, in that moment, would scramble to fill the space, to explain, to prove. But not him. He knew something most don't. That power isn't projected, it's contained. There are phrases, ancient and simple, used by Stoic men for centuries. They don't just sound wise, they carry energy. They shift the frame. They rewrite the dynamic. They make you unforgettable. These aren't pickup lines. These are calibrations of energy. And when used properly, they don't just attract women. They attract respect. They attract mystery. They attract the game to you without playing it. Most men chase attraction like a dog chasing a car, but the ones who master these three phrases, they walk, calm, certain, and the car turns around. You're about to learn the three most attractive phrases a man can say, not because of what they say, but because of what they signal. Before we begin, understand this. You don't need to become someone else. You need to remove what you were never meant to carry. Ready? Let's begin with the first phrase. Phrase 1. You're allowed to feel that way. It sounds simple, almost soft. But don't let that fool you. Most men react when a woman gets emotional, critical, or distant. They defend. They correct. They try to fix her feelings so they can feel safe again. But a Stoic man, he doesn't react. He recognizes that emotions are waves, and waves pass. By saying, "You're allowed to feel that way," you're doing three powerful things at once. 1. You're not rejecting her emotion. You're witnessing it without resistance. That alone disarms her. 2. You're signaling that her storm doesn't shake your roots, that you can stay grounded when she can't. That's incredibly attractive. And 3. You're offering her space without trying to control the outcome. That creates trust. This phrase isn't permission, it's presence. It's a man saying, "I don't need to fix you to stay with you. You don't have to be easy for me to remain steady." It's rare. And in a world where most people try to manipulate feelings, it's magnetic. But only if you say it from the right place. Not to gain approval, not to sound mature, but because you truly mean it. Let's keep going. Phrase 2. It's colder, sharper, and more powerful. Phrase 2. That's not how I live. It's not an argument. It's not up for debate. It's a boundary, spoken calmly, without anger, without need. Let's say she starts testing you. Maybe she tries to get a reaction by flirting with another guy, or she raises her voice during a disagreement, or she expects you to change your plans because she's in a mood. Most men explain, apologize, compromise. But a man with internal code simply says, "That's not how I live." That one sentence communicates volumes. It says, "I know who I am." It says, "I've chosen my path, and I walk it without needing permission." It says, "I won't punish you, but I won't participate either." You see, women don't truly want to lead the dynamic. They test to feel the edges of your strength, and when you calmly show them that your code is non-negotiable, they feel safe and turned on. This phrase works not because it dominates, but because it liberates. It invites her to meet you at your level or walk away. Either way, your power remains untouched. Now let's get to the third phrase. It's the softest and the deadliest. Phrase 3. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. Now wait. This might sound like the opposite of masculine strength, but it's not. Because when a Stoic man says this, he's not begging, he's not chasing, he's not waiting at the gates hoping she'll come around. He says it from a place of emotional solidity. He says it because he has nothing to prove. He says it because her chaos does not shake his calm. Imagine she's pulling away, caught in fear or confusion. Or maybe she's been hurt before and doesn't trust easy. Most men try to fix. They offer solutions. They try to reassure her into opening up. But a grounded man knows the soul opens on its own timeline. He knows pressure creates resistance. He knows presence is more powerful than persuasion. So he lets her breathe. He says, "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." And then, he doesn't chase, but he doesn't vanish either. He goes about his life, purpose intact. But she feels his steadiness like a heartbeat in the background. That steadiness is what women crave in a world of men who collapse under pressure. That phrase, it's not weakness, it's supreme inner control. And when she realizes you won't force her, fix her, or flee from her, she leans in. Because you've shown her something rare, unshakable emotional sovereignty. Now that we've revealed the 3 phrases, let's go deeper into why they work. These 3 phrases work not because of the words themselves, but because of the man who speaks them. In a world drowning in neediness, performance, and bravado, a man who speaks with calm detachment stands out like fire in the dark. Let's break it down. The first phrase, "You're free to go if this isn't what you want." This is the language of boundaries. It says, "I have standards. I won't chain you, and I won't beg." But most importantly, it says, "I'm not afraid of loss, because I've already made peace with solitude." The second phrase, "You don't have to understand me, just feel me." This flips the script. It bypasses logic and enters the emotional realm where real connection happens. And it signals something else, that you're not here to be dissected and analyzed. You're here to be experienced. This turns you from a man into a mystery. And women don't chase what they fully understand. They chase what makes them feel. And finally, the third phrase, "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." This is ultimate self-possession. You're telling her, "I don't move based on your chaos. I move based on my center." It's not about waiting for her. It's about not abandoning your inner ground while she finds hers. And in that stillness, she finds the safety she never knew she was craving. This is Stoic attraction in action. Let's go deeper. Because attraction isn't built through performance, it's built through presence. And each of these phrases is a window into your presence, your groundedness, your refusal to be swayed by storms. Let's revisit the first one. You're free to go if this isn't what you want. This isn't passive aggression. It's not a threat. It's an invitation to clarity. It says, "I'd rather be alone in truth than together in illusion." And when a woman hears this, her nervous system responds, not with fear, but with respect. Because suddenly, she's not dealing with a boy who needs validation. She's facing a man who has already validated himself. That energy is rare, and rare is magnetic. Now the second phrase, "You don't have to understand me, just feel me." This one stirs the subconscious, because most people are addicted to intellectualizing everything, breaking it all down, putting everything in boxes. But when you say this, you offer her a taste of something deeper. You pull her out of her mind and into her body. You become an experience, not a concept. And experiences stay with you longer than explanations. Let's talk about why these phrases are so powerful. They don't try to impress. They don't try to convince. They don't beg for understanding. They simply express truth. And truth doesn't need decoration. See, women are biologically wired to sense congruence. They feel it when your words match your energy, when your tone matches your presence, when your stillness isn't a tactic, but a state. So when you say something like, "You're free to go if this isn't what you want," she doesn't hear rebellion. She hears alignment. She hears a man who won't betray himself to keep her. And that's rare. Because most men negotiate their worth in moments of fear. They abandon their values to avoid discomfort. They say what they think she wants to hear. They bend, shrink, adjust. But a Stoic man doesn't adjust his truth. He adjusts his audience. If she can't stand the stillness of his lake, she's free to seek the storm elsewhere. And it's this freedom you grant her, this lack of control or coercion, that paradoxically makes her want to stay, because real power doesn't chase. It simply exists. Let's go deeper into the second phrase. I prefer solitude over shallow company. At first glance, it might sound cold, but to the right woman, it's magnetic. Why? Because it signals discernment. It says, my energy is sacred. My time isn't for sale. In a world where men flood DMs, chase validation, and fear being alone, this one sentence creates gravity. It tells her you're not trying to escape yourself. You're not using her to fill a void. You're not afraid of your own silence. Women are drawn to men who don't need them, but choose them from fullness. This phrase also forces her to self-assess. Am I shallow company? Am I adding depth or just presence? And when a woman starts qualifying herself to be around you, attraction shifts. You're no longer the applicant. You're the interviewer. And yet, it's not about arrogance. It's about sovereignty. You're not placing yourself above her. You're just not beneath yourself anymore. That is the quiet revolution of the Stoic man. Now here's the paradox. The more you enjoy solitude, the more others seek your presence. Why? Because presence that doesn't beg, invites. When you radiate the energy of I'm complete either way, you trigger curiosity. She'll wonder, why doesn't he need me to feel important? What does he do alone that makes him so calm, so centered? The answer is, you're not alone. You're with yourself. And that's rare. Most men run from silence because silence reflects the truth. The void, the wounds, the noise in the head. But you meet it head on. You've sat with your shadows long enough to see through them. So when you say, I prefer solitude over shallow company, you're not rejecting her. You're rejecting noise, drama, emptiness. And if she carries substance, she'll rise to meet you, not to impress, but to resonate. Because the Stoic man doesn't want an audience. He wants a mirror. And he knows only a woman who's also met herself can truly meet him. Here's where most men go wrong. They think attraction is about performance, lines, looks, tricks. But Stoic attraction is about presence, unshakable presence. When you speak little but mean every word, when your silence holds more weight than most men's speeches, you become unforgettable. And here's why. She's used to noise, endless DMs, flattery, ego. But when you drop one calm, grounded sentence into the chaos, it pierces, it lingers. That's what the Stoic phrases do. They don't chase. They anchor. They don't explain. They reveal. The woman who's attuned will feel it in her body, not as a reaction, but as a pull, a gravitational shift. And once she tastes the depth of your words, the silence between them becomes sacred. That's where the obsession begins. In the pause between your sentences. In the space where most men try to fill the void, you sit back and let her feel it. Because you know, real attraction doesn't speak. It echoes. Let's take this even deeper. Women don't fall for the man who speaks the most. They fall for the man who makes them feel the most, with the least. Stoic men don't broadcast desire. They radiate it, subtly, silently. And when they speak, their words are like tuning forks. They vibrate through her nervous system, not just heard, but felt. That's what makes a phrase powerful. It's not the vocabulary, it's the vibration behind it. And here's the truth. Most women aren't attracted to your words. They're attracted to your weight, the weight of your presence, your self-possession. And when you say something like, "I don't need to be understood to be grounded," that hits different. Because now, she's not just listening, she's sensing that you're not performing, you're not angling, you're just being. And that being is magnetic. Because in a world of masks, authenticity feels like a drug. Now let's move to the second Stoic phrase. This one is subtle, but lethal. I allow people to misunderstand me. Read that again. It doesn't sound like much, but it's one of the most powerful boundaries a man can ever hold. Because most men, especially when it comes to women, are desperate to be explained, to be seen correctly, to be validated. They chase clarification. They over-explain. They try to fix their image. But the man who can walk away from a misunderstanding, who doesn't flinch when someone gets him wrong, that man has power. Why? Because he's not playing the same game. He's not auditioning for approval. He's not editing his soul for someone else's narrative. He's free. And that kind of internal freedom, it translates into external magnetism. When a woman sees you calm in the storm of misperception, when you don't react to her assumptions, she begins to wonder, what else is inside him that I don't know? That curiosity is irresistible. When a woman can't read you, she can't control you. And when she can't control you, she respects you. That second Stoic phrase, I allow people to misunderstand me, is not about arrogance. It's about emotional discipline. It's about choosing peace over performance, power over people-pleasing. It means you're no longer trying to control how others see you. You're focused on how you see yourself. And here's the twist. The more you hold this posture, the more people lean in. Why? Because now you're unpredictable. Now you're not obvious. Now you're dangerous. In the best possible way. You're not broadcasting your feelings. You're not correcting their assumptions. You're letting the mystery breathe. And that mystery, that subtle gap between what they think and what you actually are, that's where attraction is born. Not in over-communication, not in emotional availability, but in stillness and in silence. That's how you become the storm she never saw coming. There's a third phrase, one that doesn't just make you attractive, it makes you unforgettable. And it's this: I only explain myself to those who've earned the right to understand me. Read that again. Because it flips the dynamic completely. Most men explain too much, too soon, to people who've done nothing to deserve that level of access. They overshare. They justify. They try to be understood. But high-value men, they move in silence until trust is proven. They let actions speak louder than justifications. They let their presence be the explanation. This isn't about being distant or cold. It's about self-respect. It's about honoring your own energy, not throwing it at anyone just because they demand it. And here's the power play. When you stop over-explaining, people start listening more carefully. When you stop needing to be understood, you become magnetic. You become the one she thinks about at night, wondering what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're not saying. Mystery isn't built by withholding. It's built by valuing. When a man moves like this, measured, self-contained, emotionally sovereign, he shifts from being a pursuer to becoming the pursued. Because here's the truth. Attraction isn't about how much you do for her. It's about what she feels in your presence. And the less you explain, the more she imagines. The more she imagines, the more she invests. The more she invests, the more she chases. See, the male instinct wants to fill silence with action, to fix, to solve, to clarify. But the Stoic man holds the tension. He doesn't break the silence just because it feels uncomfortable. He understands that silence is power. A woman might test him with emotional surges, drama, withdrawal, indifference. But he doesn't chase her storm. He becomes the still mountain in it. That calm, unwavering presence. It terrifies her ego and seduces her soul. Because in a world full of noise, a man who can sit in silence becomes a signal, a lighthouse, an anchor, a mystery worth unraveling. A woman doesn't obsess over a man who explains himself. She obsesses over the one she can't quite decode. She replays his pauses, dissects his glances, reads between the lines of what wasn't said. And the more she tries to understand him, the deeper she falls. Now, let's go back to those Stoic phrases. Because it's not just what you say, it's how you say it, when you say it, and more importantly, what you don't say. So when she says, "Why don't you open up more?" you respond with calm clarity, "I value my peace more than oversharing." When she tests your frame with silence, you don't fill the gap. You hold the line. You let her feel the space you once occupied. Let her feel the absence of your energy, because silence reveals value, and value creates obsession. Now let's talk about tension. Not drama, not chaos. Tension. The kind that makes her heartbeat speed up when you walk into the room. The kind that builds when you lock eyes but say nothing. Most men are uncomfortable with tension. They rush to resolve it, fill the silence, explain their emotions. But a Stoic man sits in it. He breathes through it. He becomes the tension. That's what the second phrase is all about. When she accuses you of not caring, or says, "I don't even know if you like me," you don't chase. You don't explain. You simply say, "If you have to ask, maybe you're not looking closely enough." That line, it flips the burden. It makes her question her own perception. And suddenly, she's the one proving herself to you. Remember, attraction isn't created by constantly reassuring her. It's created by becoming a mystery she wants to solve. Here's what's really happening behind that second phrase. It's not arrogance. It's not a game. It's a subtle test of her emotional awareness. You're saying, if you truly felt me, if you were tuned in, you'd already know. This is Stoic confidence in motion. Most men try to convince. They turn attraction into a debate. But a high-value man knows. When you're really centered, your presence speaks louder than words. And when you say, if you have to ask, maybe you're not looking closely enough, you're not closing the door. You're leaving it open, but only for those who see your worth without needing a neon sign. She'll replay those words in her head, at night, in silence, wondering what she missed, wondering why your stillness feels more powerful than any compliment she's ever received. The third phrase? I choose peace over proving a point. At first glance, it sounds passive, weak even, but only to those who confuse chaos with strength. To the feminine, this hits like a lightning bolt. Because most men argue. They need to win. They get triggered. They fall into emotional whirlpools just to prove they're right. But not you. You value peace because you've tasted inner chaos. You've fought wars inside your own soul. And you've learned victory doesn't come from proving. It comes from walking away when your energy is being drained. That phrase tells her you're not here for drama. You won't trade your sanity for her storms. And that's the ultimate turn-on. Because it signals mastery. And nothing attracts the feminine more than a man who's mastered himself. When a woman hears that phrase, I choose peace over proving a point, her subconscious lights up. Because what you're really saying is, I don't need to control you. I don't need to win with words. I win by protecting my state. That kind of energy disarms the feminine. It tells her you're emotionally sovereign. You don't chase validation. You don't need to dominate. You're not reactive. You're responsive. And it creates a paradox. The more you refuse to argue, the more power you hold. The more peace you radiate, the more respect you command. You become rare, memorable, magnetic. While other men are caught in petty battles, you're meditating in the eye of the storm, unbothered, untouchable. And this is where attraction turns into obsession, because she sees something in you she can't control, and what she can't control, she can't forget. When she sees you hold your peace in the middle of chaos, something shifts. You're no longer just a man. You're a force, a presence, a sanctuary she can't explain, but craves. Because deep down, most women are not looking for a man who fights harder. They're looking for a man who doesn't need to fight at all, who can stand tall in the middle of conflict and still choose grace. That's power. It's not weakness to walk away from drama. It's mastery. Because you're not running, you're choosing. Choosing your frequency, choosing your future. And in that silence, in that grounded refusal to engage, you become unforgettable. She replays the moment over and over in her mind. Why didn't he argue? Why didn't he react? And that mystery becomes obsession. Here's what most men miss. It's not about being cold. It's about being clear. Clarity is the new charisma, and silence is its weapon. When you stop over-explaining yourself, when you stop trying to prove your worth, when you stop filling every awkward pause with nervous noise, you invite her into your world of depth. Now, every word you do say carries weight. That's the paradox. Say less, and she'll want to hear more. Withdraw, and she'll move closer. Become the quiet in a world full of noise, and you'll own the room without raising your voice. You're not avoiding connection. You're elevating it. You're no longer reactive. You're selective. And that's exactly what separates a man she forgets from a man she dreams about at night. There's a specific psychological phenomenon at play here. It's called the gap of interpretation. When someone says less, the mind of the listener works overtime to fill in the blanks. And the mind, especially the feminine mind, fills in those blanks with desire, meaning, and mystery. Your silence becomes a mirror. She projects her own fantasies, fears, and hopes into that space. And the more disciplined you are in holding that silence, not awkwardly, but with presence, the more control you gain over the emotional rhythm of the interaction. This is not about manipulation. This is about power. Not power over her, power over yourself. The more emotionally self-contained you are, the more grounded your presence, the more attractive you become. Because most men seek to be heard, but Stoic men are heard without seeking. She'll start to wonder, what is he thinking? Why isn't he reacting like the others? Does he even want me? And that's where obsession begins. Because you've created a vacuum, an energetic pull, and nature abhors a vacuum. Silence, when backed by presence, becomes gravitational. You don't chase attention, you pull it in. This is why women remember the man who doesn't over-explain, who listens more than he speaks, who holds eye contact without needing to fill the air with noise, because he signals internal wealth. He doesn't need to convince. He already knows his worth. And in a world where most men panic in silence, the man who thrives in it becomes unforgettable. So here's the truth. Silence is not about ignoring her. It's about mastering your inner state. It's about becoming the man who doesn't react, but responds. The man who doesn't fill silence with words. He fills it with meaning. Because silence isn't empty. It's loaded with signals, if you know how to wield it. When you pause before speaking, when you withhold the need to explain yourself, when you walk away instead of argue, you're not being passive. You're showing presence. You're demonstrating power. And that power doesn't scream. It whispers. And those whispers echo in her mind long after you're gone. Be that man. The one she can't read, yet can't stop thinking about. The one who makes silence louder than any words. She won't just notice. She'll obsess.